Hey y'all, this is Allison hanging out in my space to craft, and I was about to start on a new 2-page layout, but I was straightening up my desk and I found all these scraps from I think it was not the last one, but a previous page that I did. So I'm going to make a quick card. So I have a card base, and now I've cut a piece of card that is quarter-inch smaller than the card base, and I'm using this super large double stick tape rather than gluing each individual piece down. I find this works really well. I did almost mess up a couple times, but I was able, it's not so sticky that you can't peel the paper off it. So I'm using my crummy scissors since I'm cutting adhesive, and that seems to work a little better. So just trimming that off. I could keep it on there and stick it down, but I want to be able to move the card around. So I have these strips, a couple different lengths. One regret I had, I started with this orange one, and I really should have cut this in two. There goes my dog. And I'm just going to lay the strips down randomly. No particular rhyme or reason. Just trying not to put the same strap colors down. Now, I did miss that corner just a little bit, but I'm going to trim this further because I'm going to put a mat on it. So I'm not too worried about it. I also am going to emboss this once I finish doing these strips. So this is similar to the quilted cards that you can do where you're just using squares or alternating. I decided on this one I would just do stripes. This is the one where I mess it up a bit, but you can see I did manage to peel that off. And I really messed up that other corner, and I thought it was going to be too much for me to even trim off. So I'm just redoing it. And I'm not leaving space between the strips. Now, one other technique I might try is to leave some space using this double-sided tape between the strips and then cover the space with glitter. That would be really cute for a super glam card. Sorry about my dog, y'all. She's out in the backyard barking at nothing. So just a couple of small strips there on the end. I'm going to go ahead and trim off because I need a little tiny corner, and I'm going to put a little bit of that orange since I only had one piece of the orange. And then I need to finish one more, and I'm going to go ahead and use the yellow. I'm thinking about it, but that's what I do. Now this whole card, even with some sifting through matte papers and other stuff, took me right at 30 minutes, beginning to end. And that's not too bad. Sometimes I can do them faster than that, but this one's a little bit more involved. So I'm going to look for a mat first. So I'm going to pull out my little bin of matte papers. I started keeping it right beside my desk on the ground so that I'm more apt to look into it. So I did some cutting away because you don't need to see me going through 1,000 pieces of matte paper. I'm just looking for one that's a good color contrast. I'm going to go ahead and use the orange. And now I'm going to go off and find an embossing folder that I like for this. And I picked one that has a little bit of a floral burst on it. It's not flowers, but I didn't want to do something that was super straight line. So I thought this would be a little more interesting. has the embossing on it. And I'm just trimming a little bit off each side. And it's so thick, I'm having trouble getting it all the way up. So I'm just having to eyeball squaring it up, which is sometimes dangerous for me. I'm going to go ahead and cut this matte, and then I'll be able to see any more trimming I need to do. So I'm cutting this at 4 inches by 5 1/4, which is a 1/4 inch smaller, which means I have an 1/8 of an inch on either side of it on the card base. And then I'm just going to trim a little bit more off one of these sides so that I have an even layer matte around it. Now, the other reason that it's good to trim this after you emboss is the embossing can sometimes stretch the paper a little bit and make it look a little uneven. So trimming that up afterwards helps. I did ink it with brown ink. I have a few struggles getting my ink out here. I mean my glue. So it happens eventually. Gotta get out my little pin. And especially with these embossed, just a regular tape runner doesn't seem to work as well. So I think you definitely want the liquid glue for something like this. And it's so dimensional, I don't really need to pop it up because the card becomes pretty dimensional here. It's got a couple layers on it. I had pulled a couple of different sentiments out of my little ready-made sentiment bin, and I'm going to pick this lighter orange one. I'm going to trim a little bit off top and bottom so it's a little more narrow because I'm going to put it in that yellow stripe, and I want some yellow to show on either side of it. And then, of course, I'm fishtail bannering it, and then I'm going to pop it up on some dimensional adhesive, and that's to give it a little shadow, a little more dimension under it. And I like that. And now it's time for some sequins. And I have the perfect 3 different sequins. If you watched my recent video where I sort of was restocking and sorting and storing my sequins. So I have a whole thing of green sequins, and then I have 2 different colors of turquoise. So I pull out the one that I thought worked the best, and I have some orange. I mean, it's really pretty perfect. So I'm going to start on the bottom and just do a few in this corner, and then I'm going to put them up around on the top as well. So I'm adding quite a bit of bling to this. And I'm just trying to randomize the dots. Just to give a little interest, a little sparkle, make it a little festive. And then I just decide I want to extend that to the top bit. And that bottom cluster is looking a little too compact, so I'm going to stretch it out a little bit to one side. Yeah, that's better. It ties it together a little more. And there we go. Hello, how are you? Thanks a lot, you guys.